The numbers made no sense. Senior observer Rillick pressed his 4 hands against the console and leaned closer to the screen. His pale blue skin reflected the glow of warning lights that had not activated in over 200 years. Behind him, the monitoring station hummed with sudden tension as other officers gathered around his terminal. "Run it again," Rillick said. Deputy Phoenix, a young Brevani with gray fur standing on end, tapped the controls with trembling fingers. The deep scan array powered up once more, sending invisible beams across the void toward the vessel that had appeared at the edge of their system. The ship called itself the UES Defiance. Its transponder identified it as belonging to a species called humans. Rillick had heard stories about them, newcomers to the galactic stage, barely 3 centuries into faster-than-light travel. The Galactic Concord had not yet decided whether to grant them full membership. Now Rillick understood why. "The hull," Phoenix whispered. "Our scanners cannot fully penetrate it. The alloy is reflecting 40% of our beams." This had never happened before. The monitoring station at Waypoint 7 scanned every vessel that approached the trading hub. Their technology represented the combined knowledge of 12 spacefaring civilizations. Nothing should be able to resist their instruments. Yet this human ship did exactly that. Station Commander Oris arrived with heavy footsteps. The elderly Telluri had scales that had faded to pale green with age, but his eyes remained sharp. He had served during the border conflicts, back when the Concord still needed soldiers. That was a long time ago. "Report," he said. Rillick gestured at the screen. "Unknown vessel, human origin. We are attempting a full bioscan and technical assessment, but the results are unusual." "Unusual how?" Before Rillick could answer, Phoenix made a sound of distress. New data filled the screen power readings from the human ship. The numbers climbed higher and higher until the display ran out of room. "That cannot be correct," Oris said. "Nothing that size should produce that much energy." Rillick checked the calculations twice. "They are running controlled fusion reactions, multiple reactors. Commander, they have bottled stars inside that vessel." The silence that followed was absolute. Oris moved closer to the screen. "Life signs." 847, Phoenix reported. "But Commander, the ship could house thousands. They are running with minimal crew." "Why would they do that?" Nobody had an answer. The bioscan data began to arrive, and Rillick felt his twin hearts begin to race. He had studied xenobiology as part of his training. He understood what healthy life signs looked like across dozens of species. What appeared on his screen did not match any pattern he recognized. Human bodies operated at temperatures that would indicate fever in any conquered species. Their blood contained aggressive cells that hunted and destroyed foreign organisms with terrifying efficiency. Their skeletal structure was dense, far denser than necessary for movement, and their muscles. Rillick ran the calculations 3 times. "A single human," he said slowly, "could lift 4 times the weight of a Palori of equal size. Their homeworld gravity is 1/4 times our standard." Phoenix's ears flattened against his skull. "They are heavy worlders." The term carried weight throughout the Concord. Heavy worlders came from planets with crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, and extreme conditions. Such worlds rarely produced intelligent life. When they did, those species tended to be dangerous. But even heavy worlders had limits. Even they could be understood. The next set of data made Rillick's blood run cold. "Commander," he said, "I am detecting unusual chemical compounds in their biology. Adrenaline, cortisol, these appear to be stress hormones that trigger a cascade effect in their physiology." "What kind of effect?" "When threatened, humans can temporarily exceed their normal physical capabilities. Their strength increases, their pain tolerance rises, their reaction speed improves." Rillick turned to face Oris. "They can make themselves more dangerous when they need to be." Commander Oris stared at the screen for a long moment. His old scales seemed to grow paler. "Weapons," he said finally. "What weapons does the ship carry?" Phoenix pulled up the technical scan. The data showed rows of kinetic accelerators capable of hurling projectiles at significant fractions of light speed, directed energy arrays that could cut through station armor, missile tubes loaded with warheads of unknown yield, all of it powered down but ready. "They could destroy Waypoint 7, Phoenix said. They could destroy us, they could destroy everything in this system and move on before reinforcements arrived. Rillick wanted to argue, he wanted to point out that power did not equal intent, but the numbers spoke for themselves. This single vessel represented more destructive capability than the entire conquered defense fleet assigned to this sector. And there were more human ships out there, many more. Why are they here? Oris asked. Before anyone could speculate, a transmission arrived from the Defiance, a calm voice speaking in accented but clear Concord standard. Waypoint 7 Station, this is Captain Adira Okonkwo of the United Earth ship Defiance. We are responding to a distress signal originating from your territory, requesting permission to render assistance. The three officers looked at each other. A distress signal? No such signal had been detected by the station. Their sensors covered this entire region of space. Nothing should exist that they could not see. Unless human sensors could detect things theirs could not. Rillick turned back to the biological data still scrolling across his screen: dense bones, aggressive immune systems, adrenaline responses, redundant organs, a species built for survival in conditions that would kill any member of the conquered. And they had come to help. The question that haunted Rillick as he stared at the impossible readings was simple: help whom? And what would they do if someone tried to stop them? 12,000 souls had vanished 8 months ago, and the conquered had stopped looking. High Arbiter Sala materialized in the station's command center via holographic link, her translucent wings folding behind her as she examined the data Rillick had compiled. The ancient Mervani leader had not slept since receiving the emergency summons. Her species required very little rest, but even she looked exhausted. "Show me," she said. Rillick transferred the biological scan results to the main display. The human readings filled the screen: body temperature, cellular composition, organ function, chemical balance. Every measurement told the same story. Their immune system, Rillick explained, does not coexist with foreign organisms, it destroys them. Every bacterium, every virus, every microscopic invader is identified and eliminated. Their white blood cells are essentially hunters. Sala's compound eyes narrowed. The Pelori live in harmony with their microbiome. Are you saying humans do not? They cannot. Their biology treats all foreign life as hostile. They are in a constant state of internal warfare. The implications settled over the room like a heavy fog. The conquered species had evolved to cooperate with each other, with their environments, with the microscopic life that shared their worlds. Humans had evolved to fight. Commander Oris stepped forward. "Arbiter, I must recommend we activate defense protocols. This vessel represents an unprecedented threat." "The vessel has not threatened us," Sala replied. "Not yet, but the data speaks for itself." Oris gestured at the screen. "Their bones can withstand impacts that would shatter ours. Their muscles generate force beyond anything in our records, and these chemicals, adrenaline and cortisol, allow them to become even more dangerous under stress. They are biological weapons, Arbiter, every single one of them." Sala considered this in silence. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Defiance, the mood was considerably calmer. Lieutenant Gregor Petrov monitored his navigation console with one eye while watching the alien station with the other. The scanning beams were not subtle. The station had been probing their ship for nearly an hour now. "Captain," he said, "they are still scanning us." Captain Adira Okonkwo did not look up from her datapad. "Let them, we have nothing to hide. They seem very interested in our biology." "They are curious, would you not be?" Okonkwo set down her datapad and turned to face the main view screen. The alien station hung against the stars like a crystalline flower, beautiful and fragile. "We are new to this region, they want to understand us." Petrov was not convinced. The distress signal came from somewhere beyond that station. "Should we not be moving?" "We requested permission. Protocol matters, Lieutenant. These people do not know us yet. Pushing past their security would not build the trust we need." The communications officer, Ensign Yuki Tanaka, spoke up. "Captain, I am receiving a transmission from the station. They are asking about the distress signal. They claim their sensors detected nothing." Okonkwo nodded slowly. "Then we will explain." Tanaka, "Open a channel." Back on the station, Rillick listened to the human captain describe how the Defiance had detected the signal. The explanation was technical, something about frequency modulation and background radiation filtering, but the core message was simple. Human sensors were designed for hostile environments. They expected interference. They were built to find signals that others would miss. The Mervani colony ship, Sala whispered. We searched for weeks after it disappeared. We found nothing. Your sensors are excellent, Okonkwo's voice came through the speakers, calm and respectful. But they are designed for conquered space, safe space. Our sensors are designed for the places we come from. And where do you come from? Sala asked. A pause, then. We call our homeworld Earth. It is beautiful, Arbiter, but it is not safe. We evolved alongside predators, parasites, and diseases that tried to kill us every moment of every day. Our world has poison in the water, venom in the animals, and radiation in the sunlight. We survived anyway. The command center was silent. Rillick looked at the biological data with new eyes. The dense bones were not weapons, they were protection. The aggressive immune system was not an attack mechanism, it was a shield. The adrenaline response was not preparation for violence, it was a survival tool. Humans had not evolved to fight other species. They had evolved to survive their own world. The debris field, Okonkwo continued, is approximately 4 hours from our current position. If there are survivors, they have been waiting 8 months. I would like permission to proceed immediately. Oris stepped toward the communications panel. Denied. We cannot allow a vessel with this level of destructive capability to move freely through conquered space. You will remain at your current position until the Council decides. Commander, Sala said sharply, that is not your decision to make. Arbiter, I am responsible for the security of this station and everyone in it. The data is clear. These humans are the most dangerous organisms we have ever encountered. Allowing them free movement is an unacceptable risk. Sala's wings flared. And if there are survivors in that debris field, Mervani children, Commander, my people's children. The silence stretched. Then Okonkwo's voice came through once more, softer now. Arbiter, I understand your commander's concerns. We are strangers here and our capabilities are unusual, but I give you my word as an officer of the United Earth Navy, we are here to help, nothing more. Rillick studied the human's voice patterns through his instruments, heart rate elevated but steady, no signs of deception, no indication of hidden intent. Just a captain who had traveled across the stars because someone, somewhere, needed rescue. The question was whether the conquered could trust that, and whether they could afford not to. The colony ship had carried families. Phoenix discovered this while reviewing the vessel's manifest. 12,000 Mervani had boarded the transport 8 months ago, bound for a new settlement world on the edge of conquered territory. 3,000 of them were children. The youngest was barely 4 cycles old. Pirates, Rillick said, examining the weapons signatures burned into the debris field. Keth marauders, the energy patterns match their plasma cannons. High Arbiter Sala's holographic form flickered as she processed this information. The Keth operated beyond conquered borders, preying on isolated vessels and small colonies. They were known for taking prisoners not out of mercy but for the slave markets. We assumed they would not strike so close to protected space, she said quietly. We were wrong. The UES Defiance had already changed course toward the debris field. Sala had overruled Commander Oris, accepting Captain Okonkwo's offer of assistance. The human ship moved through the asteroid belt with a grace that seemed impossible for something so large. Rillick watched the navigation data with professional fascination. Human pilots did not simply react to obstacles, they seemed to anticipate them. The ship twisted and rolled through fields of spinning rock that would have destroyed any conquered vessel attempting the same speed. How are they doing that? Phoenix asked. I do not know. Their reaction times are 3 times faster than ours, but even that does not explain it. Rillick highlighted a section of the flight path. Here, the pilot avoided a collision with a fragment that was not visible until half a second later. They should not have known it was there. Lucky. Luck does not repeat 17 times in 4 minutes. Aboard the Defiance, Lieutenant Petrov was not thinking about luck. He was thinking about the life signs his sensors had just detected. Captain, I have confirmation. 347 survivors clustered in the aft section of the colony ship. They have power but barely. Life support is failing. Captain Okonkwo leaned forward in her command chair. Time to intercept. 23 minutes at current speed. Can they last that long? Petrov checked his readings. The survivors were huddled in emergency shelters designed for short-term use. 8 months had pushed those shelters far beyond their intended limits. Air recyclers were operating at 12% efficiency. Temperature had dropped to near freezing. Food stores were exhausted. It will be close, he admitted. Then we do not waste time. Sergeant Mbeki, prepare your team. Full rescue loadout. Medic Krishnamurthy, I want you on the first shuttle. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. This was not their first rescue operation, and their preparations showed it. Rescue equipment was checked and loaded. Environmental suits were sealed and tested. Medical supplies were organized based on Mervani physiology that the ship's database had provided. Rillick observed all of this through the sensor feed. He noted that the humans did not argue about the danger. They did not question the orders. They simply worked. Commander Oris, he said quietly, look at this. Oris moved to his station. The scan data showed the Defiance's internal layout, weapons lockers, ammunition storage, and combat systems, but it also showed medical bays, emergency shelters, and enough food stores to sustain thousands. Their ship is configured for both war and rescue, Rillick explained. Equal capacity, equal priority, they do not separate these functions. Oris frowned. That makes no sense. Military vessels are military vessels, rescue ships are rescue ships. You cannot effectively do both. And yet they are. Look at the efficiency ratings. Their combat readiness is not reduced by the rescue equipment. The rescue capacity is not reduced by the weapons. They have designed a ship that can fight a war and save civilians at the same time. Why would anyone build such a thing? The question hung in the air. On the Defiance, Captain Okonkwo would have had a simple answer. Because sometimes you need both. Because the universe did not wait for the right type of ship to arrive. Because humans had learned long ago that the line between soldier and rescuer was often meaningless. The conquered had never learned that lesson. Their civilization had grown in safety, protected by treaties and alliances. They had specialized their ships, their crews, their entire society. Warships fought, medical ships healed, rescue ships saved. Humans came from a world where survival meant doing everything at once. The Defiance reached the debris field and slowed. Ahead, the shattered remains of the colony ship tumbled through the void. Lights flickered in the aft section, emergency beacons still functioning after 8 months. Survivors confirmed, Ensign Tanaka reported. I am receiving a transmission, audio only, very weak. Let us hear it, Okonkwo said. Static filled the bridge, then cleared. An elderly voice spoke, exhausted, afraid, but still holding together. This is Elder Tisra of the Mervani Colonial Authority. We have 89 children in our care. Our supplies are gone. Our air is failing. If anyone can hear this, please. We have held on as long as we can. Please help us. The message repeated. It had probably been repeating for months. Captain Okonkwo stood. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned. Sergeant Mbeki, get those children. The rescue shuttles launched within minutes. Back at the station, Rillick watched them go, tiny vessels against the darkness, carrying humans into the wreckage to save people they had never met. He thought about the scan data again, the dense bones and aggressive immune systems, the adrenaline and redundant organs, all the things that made humans terrifying on paper. None of it explained what he was seeing now. None of it explained why they cared. The first thing Elder Tisra noticed was the warmth. For 8 months, she had lived in cold that seeped into her bones and never left. The emergency shelters had heating systems, but those had failed 3 months ago. She had kept the children alive through body heat and determination, piling them together under every blanket and sheet they could find. Now warmth flooded through the broken hull as the human rescue team cut through the sealed doors. Tisra watched with eyes that had forgotten how to cry as figures in heavy suits stepped into the shelter. Do not be afraid, one of them said through a translator. The voice belonged to a female human with dark skin and kind eyes visible through her helmet. I am Sergeant Rosa Mbeki. We are here to take you home. Tisra tried to speak. Her voice cracked. She had been strong for so long that she had forgotten how to be anything else. Mbeki knelt beside her. How many children? 89, Tisra managed. I kept count every day, 89. Then we will take 89 children and one very brave elder to safety. Can you walk? Tisra was not sure, she had not tried in weeks. Back at the monitoring station, Rillick watched the rescue operation unfold through shared sensor feeds. The humans worked with mechanical precision, but their movements carried something the data could not measure. They touched the survivors gently, they spoke in soft tones, they carried the weakest children in their arms as if those children were their own. The medic, Phoenix said, watch the medic. Rillick adjusted the feed. Medic Davin Krishnamurthy was working on 3 children who had stopped responding. Their life signs were fatting. Mervani physiology was different from human biology in nearly every way. But Krishnamurthy did not hesitate. He adapted. His instruments were designed for human patients, but he modified them on the spot. He calculated dosages from first principles. He used techniques from human medicine and adjusted them for smaller bodies, different blood chemistry, unfamiliar organ placement. One by one, the 3 children stabilized. That should not be possible, Rillick said. He has never treated a Mervani before. Our medical data was only uploaded to his system an hour ago. Yet he is succeeding. Commander Aura stood behind them, watching with an expression Rillick could not read. These humans adapt faster than any species I have ever seen. High Arbiter Sala's holographic form flickered with emotion. She was watching her people being saved by strangers from across the galaxy, strangers who had no reason to care, no obligation to help, no reward waiting at the end. Why are they doing this? She asked quietly. Nobody had an answer. The rescue operation continued for 14 hours. The humans worked in shifts, rotating fresh teams through the wreckage while exhausted personnel returned to the Defiance for rest. But Rillick noticed that some humans refused to leave. They stayed at their posts, pushing through fatigue that should have stopped them. He pulled up their biological readings, adrenaline levels elevated, cortisol spiking, heart rates higher than recommended. Their bodies were warning them to stop, but they kept going. The scan data said they could push past normal limits, Phoenix said. I thought that meant in combat. So did I. It seemed humans pushed past limits for everything they cared about. The last survivor was brought aboard the Defiance 16 hours after the operation began. Tisra walked onto the human ship under her own power. Sergeant Mbeki had helped her remember how. The children clustered around her, clinging to her robes as they stared at the strange vessel that had become their salvation. Captain Okonkwo met them in the shuttle bay. She did not make speeches, she did not demand gratitude, she simply said, "Welcome aboard, you are safe now." Tisra looked at her. Why did you come? We are not your people, we are strangers. Okonkwo smiled. You were in trouble, that is enough. The words seemed too simple, too small, but Tisra had lived long enough to recognize truth when she heard it. Then the alarm started. Okonkwo's expression changed in an instant. The warmth vanished, replaced by something harder, something dangerous. Report, she snapped. Lieutenant Petrov's voice came through the speakers. 3 vessels emerging from behind Asteroid 7. Configuration matches Keth Marauder Raiders. They are powering weapons. Tisra felt her blood freeze. The Keth, they had returned. Get the survivors to the medical bay, Okonkwo ordered. Sergeant Mbeki, secure them, all hands battle stations. The ship transformed around Tisra as Mbeki guided her and the children through the corridors. Crew members ran past in organized chaos, moving to positions with practiced speed. Weapons systems hummed to life, shields activated with a sound like thunder. They have been hiding, Petrov reported, waiting for scavengers. They did not expect us. Hail them, Okonkwo said. The main screen flickered. A face appeared, scarred, cruel, and confident. Marauder Captain Drex examined the human vessel with open contempt. Unknown ship, he growled. You have taken our property. Those survivors belong to us. Surrender them and we will let you leave with your lives. Okonkwo did not blink. Those survivors are people. They belong to no one. You have one chance to withdraw. Drex laughed. 1 ship against 3. You have courage, alien, but courage will not save you. You misunderstand, Okonkwo said quietly. The courage is not mine to claim. I am simply telling you what happens next if you do not leave. Drex's laughter died, something in the human's voice had changed, something cold. Target them, he ordered his fleet. Okonkwo did not look away from the screen. You should not have done that. The feed cut to static. In the medical bay, Tisra held the children close and prayed to gods she barely remembered. Outside, the battle began. 4 minutes and 12 seconds. That was how long it took for the UES Defiance to end a battle that should have lasted hours. Rillick watched the engagement data scroll across his screen, his 4 hands trembling. The human ship had moved in ways that defied physics. It had twisted through enemy fire with grace that no vessel that size should possess. Its weapons had struck with precision that bordered on prescience. The first Marauder ship lost its engines in 8 seconds. A single kinetic round, traveling at 12% of light speed, punched through the reactor housing and shut down all power. The crew was still alive when the lights went out. The second ship tried to flank. Human gunners tracked it through a debris field and disabled its weapons array with 3 consecutive shots. 3 shots, no misses, no collateral damage. Captain Drex's flagship lasted longest. He ordered ramming speed, desperate to take the human vessel with him. The Defiance waited until the last possible moment, then rolled beneath the charging ship and fired a single directed energy beam into its navigation systems. Drex's vessel tumbled past, helpless. 4 minutes 12 seconds, 3 ships disabled, 0 deaths. They did not kill anyone, Phoenix whispered. Rillick checked the data again. The Brevani was correct. Every shot had been carefully placed to neutralize without destroying. The Marauder crews were trapped in powerless hulls, but they were breathing. Commander Oris stared at the screen. That is impossible. In the heat of battle, you do not have time for precision like that. You shoot to destroy or you die. But the humans had done neither. Captain Okonkwo's voice came through the speakers. Waypoint Station, this is the Defiance. Hostile vessels have been neutralized. We are preparing to take the survivors of Captain Drex's fleet into custody. Please advise on prisoner transfer protocols. Prisoner transfer, not body recovery, not aftermath assessment, prisoner transfer. High Arbiter Sala spoke slowly as if each word required effort. Captain Okonkwo, you could have destroyed those ships, you could have killed every one of them, why did you not? A pause, then. They were no longer a threat, Arbiter. Killing stops when the threat stops. But they attacked you, they threatened the survivors, they would have enslaved children. Yes, and now they will face justice for that, but justice is not the same as execution. Another pause. Arbiter, where I come from, we have a saying, the measure of a people is not how they treat their friends, it is how they treat their enemies. Rillick thought about the biological data he had spent the last day analyzing, the dense bones and powerful muscles, the aggressive immune system and adrenaline response, everything that had made humans terrifying on paper. None of it had mattered in that battle. What mattered was the decision, the choice to disable rather than destroy, to capture rather than kill, to show mercy to people who deserved none. I need to reconsider my analysis, Rillick said quietly. Oris turned to him. What do you mean? The scan told us what humans are capable of. It told us about their strength, their endurance, their reflexes, but it did not tell us what they choose to do with those capabilities. Rillick pulled up the engagement data alongside the biological readings. Look at this. Their reaction times allowed them to place shots with surgical precision. Their physical endurance let them maintain focus through an entire battle. Their aggressive biology gave them the tools to destroy everything in their path. But they did not. No, they used every advantage to avoid killing. The same capabilities that made them terrifying made their mercy possible. The implications settled over the room. Sala's holographic wings spread wide. I wish to address the conquered council immediately. The council session was brief. Sala presented the full scan data, the biological readings, the weapon specifications, the power output of human reactors. Then she presented the rescue footage, then the battle recording. These humans, she said, are the most powerful beings we have ever encountered. Our scans confirm it. They could have conquered this region of space before we knew they existed. They could have destroyed the Marauder fleet without breaking stride. They could have done anything they wanted and we could not have stopped them. The council waited. Instead, they answered a distress call. They saved our children. They captured enemies they had every right to kill. Sala paused. I move that we offer humanity full membership in the Galactic Concord, not because we should fear them, but because we should stand beside them. The vote was unanimous. 3 days later, the Defiance prepared to depart Waypoint 7. The survivors had been transferred to a Mervani medical vessel. The Marauder prisoners had been handed over to Concord authorities. Captain Okonkwo had accepted the Council's invitation with quiet grace. Commander Oris met her at the docking port. The old Telluri stood at attention as the human captain approached. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I feared you, I feared what the data said you were." Okonkwo smiled. "The data was not wrong, Commander. Everything your scan found was true." "Then why did you not act like what the data said you were?" "Because the data did not tell you everything." Okonkwo reached out and clasped his shoulder, a human gesture of respect. "It told you what we can do, it never told you who we choose to be." She walked past him toward her ship. Oris watched her go, then he returned to his station and added a note to the human scan file. It read, "Technical data accurate, behavioral predictions invalid, recommend direct observation over analysis. They are not what the numbers say. They are better."